Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics, your go-to platform for everything politics, policy, and governance. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Let's kick things off with today's key update. The Labour Party, led by Julius Abure, has revoked the automatic tickets previously reserved for its 2027 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and the Abia State Governor, Alex Otti. Abure accuses both for plotting against him by holding a stakeholders meeting where a new caretaker committee was formed to address the party's internal crisis. Peter Obi has since responded, expressing disappointment through his media spokesperson. Now let's have a listen to what the leader of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, had to say about developments from Abia State about this past couple of days.
Yes, as for this meeting, yes, they were all invited for the meeting. It is one thing to invite people for the meeting, it's for another thing for them to attend the meeting. So I must make it clear that they were all invited for the meeting. All those that were supposed to be here are here. And you will agree with me that we have formed quorum in this meeting. All members of the National Working Committee are here, except for two that have an assignment outside Nigeria. State chairmen are here. State secretaries are here. Other stakeholders are equally here. And so the meeting is well constituted. And quorum for any meeting, as per the provision of the Constitution, is 1/3 of those who are supposed to be present in that meeting. And so we are very comfortable with this meeting, and we are even more than 2/3 in attendance. So this meeting is well constituted, and we are happy that we
Julius Abure there speaking on developments within the Labour Party as the party continues to struggle to manage its current crisis. Now, let's turn our attention to the big issue of the day as the Department of State Services has arrested the Nigeria Labour Congress President, Joe Ajaero, at Abuja's Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport while he was en route to the United Kingdom for an official event. The NLC has condemned the arrest as an act of intimidation. Ajaero's arrest follows a previous police invitation over allegations of terrorism, financing, subversion, and a host of other charges, which, by the way, the NLC president has denied. Meanwhile, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has reported that DSS officers have taken over its office in Abuja in what they describe as unlawful occupation. This comes after SERAP's call for an investigation into alleged corruption at the NNPC. To help us dimension the issues, we're joined tonight by Sanusi. He's the country director of Amnesty International Nigeria. We'll also be joined during the conversation by NLC's head of information, Comrade Benson Opa, to provide context to this developing issue. But let's kick off the conversation with Mr. Sanusi, the country director of Amnesty International Nigeria. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the program. Welcome to Daily Politics.
Thank you very much for having me.
First of all, let me get Amnesty's position on this development. What do you make of it?
Well, we believe that this is a new record in terms of impunity, in terms of violation of human rights, in terms of attack on the civic space. And we believe that with this, the government is going too far. And they have to stop here, and this intimidation has to end because it appears to be one of the biggest threats to human rights, to right to freedom of association and freedom of expression. And we believe that the whole drama was created to strangle the NLC and make it incapacitated to take any labor or union action for the protection of the right of workers. And we believe that what happened today will go down in the history of this country as something that is quite unbelievably shocking and unacceptable.
Ms. Asa, you're being very categorical and unambiguous about your position there. Is arrest not a legal action?
Well, arrest has conditions. If you are accusing somebody or if you are suspecting somebody of doing something, I think there is a legal procedure for arrest. But to get somebody on his way to travel, somebody whose address you know, somebody whose home you know, somebody whose office you know, somebody whose occupation you are clearly aware of, to stop that person and prevent him from going to perform an official duty, I think that is unlawful, and it can never be lawful under any circumstance.
Right. We cannot speak to whether or not they have at any point in time invited the NLC president to speak, but do you think the circumstance of the arrest in any way, shape or form affects or undermines the investigation that they're trying to undertake?
Well, I believe that we don't need to get any official statement or official confirmation of whether they have invited him or not. If you look at the whole way this thing has been going on, this is not the first time. Earlier in this year, NLC came out to say that the leadership of NLC came out to say that they have been facing a lot of intimidation and harassment because of their plan to stage an action because of the policies of the government that they disagree with. So this is not something new. And then the NLC headquarters was raided by security agencies. They said that they were looking for subversive materials. And then the Nigerian police invited the NLC president to a very ridiculous, questioning. And then all this drama has been building up. And you remember last year, November, he was beaten by the police and some thugs in Imo State. So these things have been building up, and they are not a surprise at all. And one doesn't need any evidence or anything. The evidence is very clear that the government is making efforts, futile efforts, to make the labor unions incapacitated, unable to protect the rights of labor of workers in the country.
How is an attack, according to you, allegedly, how is an attack on the NLC president going to undermine NLC's effort? I mean, he's one man. NLC is not Joe Ajaero, and Joe Ajaero is not NLC. There's a whole system. There are over 50 affiliated unions and associations attached to the umbrella body that is the organized labor. So why would an attack on one individual undermine everything? Well,
we believe that what is happening, attacking Joe Ajaero is just a symbolic way of saying that, okay, we are not happy with what NLC is doing and we are going to bring them down. I think it will not be right for us to say that by constantly harassing the leader of the biggest labor union, you are not aiming at strangling the whole union itself, because the leadership symbolizes everything about the union and what the union can do. And let us say they kept him in detention. It means the labor union is incapacitated, either directly or indirectly. There is no way you can, for example, you can arrest the leader of a country and think that you are not bringing down that country to its knees.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we're comparing apples and oranges here. But it's clear that some people think that the labor is trying to make this about labor, while the police and the secret police, the DSS, are saying, listen, all of these investigations are pointing to certain clandestine activities that will undermine national security. And you know the saying, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Isn't it only fair that, the NLC president, who is a person of interest, as we have come to understand since the police invitation, goes before the authorities and answer whatever question that they have for him? I mean, we live in a country where a sitting president appeared before a panel to answer certain questions. So why is the NLC president above the law in this sense?
Well, I believe that if you remember last week, The police invited him for questioning, and he went there with his lawyers. So no one is saying that he is above the law. And I want to make it clear that in the human rights community, we don't believe in impunity. We believe in the rule of law, and we never believe that or think that there is somebody, no matter who he is, that is above the law. But what we are saying is that we will not accept, and we are going to continue to condemn any effort to abuse power, to use state institutions like the police and the DSS to bring down a civil, a union of workers just because the government is trying to stop them from doing their work. I don't think that it is right because Ajaero is not a fugitive. He is not running away. He is not in hiding. And therefore, there is no way anybody can say that if they have invited him and he didn't appear, they should show the evidence. There was no any evidence that he is evading either questioning or whatever. But you know, he was on his way to attend an international labor
a TUC conference, actually, in the United Kingdom. I think we have a problem with the connection. Okay, yeah, I was just saying he was going to attend a TUC conference, but go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So the fact that he was stopped on his way to an international labor conference means that this is not all about, rule of law. It is about impunity, actually. It is about harassment, and it is about intimidation.
Yeah, but Mr. Issa, it's also about jurisdiction, isn't it? If he flies to the UK, it's definitely going to affect the investigations of the DSS. And isn't it inconsequential where he was arrested at this point? Because they certainly wanted to talk to the man. And if he leaves the shores of Nigeria, they're not going to be able to do that because they do not have jurisdiction in the United Kingdom.
Well, I don't think there was any plan for him to just take a one-way ticket to London. I don't believe he was taking a one-way ticket. Therefore, there is no any reason, there is no any point, there is no any rule of law basis for anybody to say that this man is running away, or he's in hiding, or he's running away from being questioned. He has been questioned many times, and I told you last year in November he was beaten, he was injured. So it's not about actually rule of law. It is about an attempt to harass him. And if the Nigerian authorities have evidence that he is trying to run away, or he was buying a one-way ticket out of Nigeria, they should show the evidence. But there was no any evidence to that effect. It's just part of an attempt, part of a larger, grand attempt to not only harass him, but also to completely shrink the civil space and prevent any labor union from taking an action that will protect the interests of Nigerians.
Yeah, one would say that the authorities have shown him rather some kind of generosity that many Nigerians do not have the luxury of experiencing. Remember, when the police invited him, he actually postponed honoring that invitation until a week later, and we saw the huge crowds that accompanied him in solidarity to the Nigerian police to address those concerns that they do have. But is it your opinion that Joe Ajaero deserves some kind of special treatment because he's the NLC president?
Well, I don't think that in the history of this country, in recent time, there is a moment when a labor leader is harassed, humiliated, ill-treated like this time. I don't think so. I have read about what happened to labor leaders in Nigeria's dark days. I don't think anything like this has ever happened.
But have you also, Mr. Issa Sanusi, if you don't mind my interruption, have you also seen a labor leader become so partisan in his affairs? Because we do know that his allegiances lie with the Labour Party in the build-up to the 2023 elections, and even afterwards, after those results came out, and in the subsequent elections that came in the off-cycle election for some of the governorship contests. What do you make of that? Isn't he someone who is not apolitical, and doesn't that also affect the conversation that we're having right now?
Well,
I don't know if we still have...
Yeah,
you might have to come again, because I think we lost that connection for a moment.
Yeah. So he has the right, actually, to the freedom of association is guaranteed. Any Nigerian can be prevented by anything from taking a political side. But the issue is, I think that is not trying to use politics to justify what is happening to the Labour leadership now. I think is quite out of point, because the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees every person's right to freedom of association, and nobody can stop you from that. But the issue is, if at all the Nigerian government has any evidence that this man is doing something that is against the law, or he has a position that undermines Nigeria, they should bring him, they should take him to court, they should not waste time. I believe that this is not the point, and this is not what they are doing. What they are doing is trying to harass him and embarrass him, and they also glaringly, didn't do anything when he was beaten in November. Therefore, it is not about politics. Everyone has the right to, nobody is apolitical in this world. Even the people that are leading Nigeria now belong to a political party.
Yeah,
we say that just because they belong to a political party, they have no right to say this is wrong and this is right.
So you're basically saying arresting the NLC president is illegal or wrong? What? Just to get it clear.
It's completely unlawful. It's completely unlawful.
What is unlawful about it? Just so we can provide some clarity.
And it's something that is a threat to human rights and freedom of association, and is a dangerous dimension to the attack on the civic space in Nigeria. It is unacceptable.
Yeah.
I hope the government will retrace its step, release him, apologize to the labor unions, and allow them to do their work.
Yeah, okay. So we've seen the arrest of a former Inspector General of Police, right? We saw the arrest of governors on allegations of corruption. We saw the arrest of ministers. We saw the arrest of judges. We saw the arrest of high-profile individuals. Why is this any different? Because surely, as we established at the onset of this conversation, arrest is a legally recognized form of law enforcement. You have to arrest somebody sometimes, then you question them. So what is so peculiar about this particular issue that you think is out of the norm?
Well, I believe that you are aware that there is what is called arbitrary arrest. And what happened to the labor leader is arbitrary arrest. And let me tell you something. You have brought the example of what we are saying is not that this man is above arrest, or
it does appear that we're having trouble with the connection there with Isa Sanusi, the country director of Amnesty International Nigeria. We're going to work on reestablishing that connection so we can continue the conversation. We're also anticipating to join the conversation the head of information at the NLC headquarters in Abuja, Benson Opa. Much later down the line, we'll be speaking to lawyer and activist who has been at the center of some of these developments, Deji Adenju, to also add value to the conversation.